Good day. This is Regina's Rabbit Hole. This is Talk Therapy. Much love to you and yours. I was working on something else, and I was taking some notes. Something entirely different. And I was listening to the updates that I really enjoy. I appreciate so much. That I get on YouTube from Anthony Patch, and I just want to play a little bit of this.
NASA Open Government Plan, and this agency is to reach the heights to reveal the unknown to what we do and learn and benefit all humankind, is what they say. The keys words in this vision are to reveal the unknown, make lives better on Earth, our home planet. So I put the link below if you want to, And they said transparency and openness were written into our DNA more than 50 years ago with the original Space Act that established the agency in 1958. So if you want to read more on that, that's below. But something real interesting that I wanted to touch on too here with Tim was Maxwell's demon and how it's tied to the computer, and how that came about, and how that thought process is, so that way we can connect a few things with the computer back then, and how these things opened up to try to understand connections and things like that. But Maxwell Demon is tied to the NASA, the Cloud Nebula, cloud computing, daemon computing, meaning old Greek myth of demons, the Apache license, Berkeley, Cern, Johns Hopkins University, JPL, Linux, and many federal organizations in other countries that are uniting. So Maxwell's thought demon is a thought experiment created by the physicist James Clerk Maxwell, which he suggested how the second law of thermodynamics could hypothetically be violated. In the thought experiment, a demon controls a small door between two chambers of gas. As individual gas molecules approach the door, the demon quickly opens and shuts the door so the molecules can pass from one chamber to the other, and fast molecules pass into the other chamber because faster molecules are hotter. The demon's behavior causes one chamber to warm up as the other cools, thus increasing the entropy and violating the second law of thermodynamics. Because if you think about it, whatever's controlling this cat, like some of these if you think of hot and cold, and these things are moving at different paces, some faster than the other, and the demon knows exactly how fast each one of them are moving, and how fast, where they're going, every directions that they're moving at the same time, in order to know when to open up the door. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, it actually makes me think of just that.
We're listening to a little segment of Anthony Patch, December 1st, 2018 on Cern, the Helix Nebula Hybrid Clouds, okay? And this is an update that you can find on YouTube. We're just listening to a little clip of it because I was doing something else, and I was listening to this like I do many times to keep up with the research and updates that a lot of us are doing, right? All deep divers, and anyway, so I was doing that when something else came to me. I didn't lose my notes. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, here it is. Okay, so just listening to a little bit more of this, because we need to be part of the problem with us as a society, as a community, is the technology. Our lack of information and being able to apply practical application to what's happening to us in society, to be able to understand the deeper embedding. Because they say we're all stupid, but that's not true. How many of us even know the stuff to be able to have time, to be able to take the time to be able to regurgitate it so that anyone else understands what the blip is going on, right? With the solution, without all the fear-based. So each one teach one. Anyway, this is just some notes and stuff that I was learning, and I would like you to hear just a little bit of this before I give you my notes on this. because I didn't want to lose this, because this is actually a side note, because I'm working on something entirely different. You know how we do.
If you go back to that picture for a second, if you look on the left, both boxes are pink, and on the right, one's pink and one's blue, and the blue is the cooling down one where the entropy is being lost. And I went, and I thought of, about the fire and ice rituals they've been doing, and when they were doing the ice bucket challenge, and also the kids lighting themselves on fire, and the separating of the two into hot and cold. And it just makes me think, it's a parallel to the occult controlling conditions in matter. So just one of my thoughts.
Yeah, it's a good thought. Daemon computing in multitasking computer operating systems. A daemon is a computer program that runs as a background process rather than being under the direct control of an interactive user. The term daemon computing was coined by the programmers of MIT Project Mac. They took the name from Maxwell Demon. So they took this name from Maxwell Demon. So this is where they got it from. An imaginary being from a thought experiment that constantly works in the background, sorting molecules.
These are the jokers that I was always talking about, that are tripping out on DMT and talking to their little...
I said that technology is what we don't know. This is the shadow work. This machine is working in the background. Cern is a quantum D-waves mechanics computer. Cern is pulling in the information that they're getting from our algorithms on social media, all social media. We went 5G, all your, your phone calls, all that stuff, under the laws for the Terrorism Act stuff. You know what I'm saying? Where indirectly they're able to have access to your private information through a back door. I was looking at some different information yesterday on that, how they bypass the laws, by saying that they're after a foreigner that you may be associated with. Maybe you use their store or whatever, or they're after somebody in the area. So they'll go after a payload of information, and then when they get that information, they're not after the foreigner. The foreigner wouldn't even be here if they thought they were a threat. Come on now. What they do is, that's my opinion, what they do is they end up with the civilians' information, with private citizens' information, which they add to whatever it is they're doing with intel. Okay? There's also the satellite brain reading technology. Okay? And all this information is being fed into the supercomputer, which is being utilized by a superpower, a demonic force. Okay? If you've been paying attention, I've talked about music and vibration and frequency, how sound is a light code, how information is actually a power, a frequency, okay, a vibration. It's not just nothing. It's the nothing that we don't know about, because we don't realize what it is that we have and what we're doing, what this is all made of, because we've been dumbed down and then told that we're too stupid to understand and that we wouldn't want to bother to do it or to leave that alone. And so that's what I'm sharing to you, this information that this man brilliantly gives for us in a modern day, in a time we desperately need to be updated in what's going on with the upgrades with technology, okay? So in the background, while we were sleeping, they were building this big mega monster computer, which, if you look at the awakening and the revelation stuff, my sons and daughters will dream and prophesy, add in the equation of many other sci-fi writers, but in particular, I enjoy Sophia Stewart, okay? And what the Terminator in the Matrix has done, and what the parallels to theft of and misuse of talents, abilities, copyright, our information, our things like that, okay? And how the access and the length that this computer has to be able to swipe away everybody's goodies and just access them and make them the government's while we were sleeping. As if this stuff doesn't even exist to have the capabilities to do it. And that we're just stupid. But in this time and age, during the time of revelation, enlightenment, right? The age of technology, yada yada, whatever word that we want to use, there's a scale. This is a spiritual war. So I want to show more of the intricacies to how this is a spiritual war. Did you know this thing was alive already?
Well, Anthony calls them the clockwork elves on the other side, and and this is MIT, and you don't think that they're doing DMT up there, making little things like Maxwell's demon.
Yeah. It's interesting because the Unix system that's tied to Berkeley inherited this terminology too, and Maxwell demon is consistent with Greek mythology interpretation of a demon as a supernatural being working behind the background with no particular bias towards good or evil. And so, their motto actually is that demon came before demon, and it's not good or bad, which that's not the case because the actual term for it
I think it's actually Kabbalistic. I think it's a Kabbalistic belief, isn't it? That a daemon can be good or bad. Isn't that something from the Jewish mysticism, I think? So,
yeah, I think it came way before, though, from India, from way back. But Berkeley software distribution, the OS family is Unix, and this is their logo. They wanted to use they call it the Christian demon.
Christian demon. Jeez, these guys.
So NASA uses the Open Nebula, and their operating system is Linux, and their logo is a penguin. And the licensing and the server, is all of it is Apache license. And there was 8 people that actually founded that. Now, Cern used to use Open Nebula, but they use OpenStack now, and it's written in Python language. You can look that up to see the guy who wrote the Python language.
Yeah, I know those. I know about these languages. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's interesting, the times that we're in and all these things that are coming out, and just, looking at things. I wasn't familiar with all these things, so I thought I would kind of go into this, and show a little bit about these things and about the writers who, write this, and, you can look them up and kind of, so you can get familiar with it at least, because it's a lot to get familiar with.
Well, Harry Potter spoke in Parseltongue, which is a serpent language, to talk to the basilisk. So these guys speak in Python to talk to the box, or the the black box here. Or this one's a red box, so it's the Satan cube, or the Lucifer cube. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got more on the cube later too.
No.
Here's the just the logo again for Apache software, and their copyright disclaimer and software licenses. It just kind of shows you, what their logo is there. Now, the interesting thing that we did on the last show with Anthony was I really wish that we had his audio because he had so much great information, but the Helix Nebula, the science cloud, big science teams up with big business. And this is about cloud computing. And this company, actually, if you look it up, they have a video. I posted that, I think below. And Cern and the Helix Nebula, because CERN is tied to this company, EMBL is tied to this company, and ESA, the European Space Agency, and volcanic research. And so it's really interesting that all of these things are tied together, and then they're connected together now through this big, more computer system and the clouds and the communication, and they have private systems, and then you got the quantum computer that's running the LHC. So, which it can, you can insert phosphorus and elements and different things inside of that computer as well. Cern is the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Cern is the birthplace of the worldwide internet. It has 22 member states, with Pakistan and Turkey being associate members. Israel is the first and currently only non-European country granted full membership. And one of the things that Anthony said that was real interesting about CERN was that antimatter will be produced in greater quantities, and strangelets are intended to replace nuclear warheads, and they will be the most explosive substances and most dangerous weapon in the world. And he explains how they can flow through to the center of the planet. But one thing that he mentioned too was that this could bring in the New World Order system with this type of power. So we have this type of power, we have new computer systems helping them get to their goal and their challenge, because CERN's goal is to open a portal. That is their goal. There was two students that were, they say it was an accidental drowning of the two, but actually they were killed for writing about portals and dimensions and writing papers with mathematical, they were writing all of these things out, showing information, and they were both killed, in my opinion. But I just don't see how it's possible that these two brilliant students could have died. But that is their goal. And so Anthony Patch calls it coalescing of events in the month of September, spiritually, physics, cosmology, and religious-wise. The date, September 23rd, 2015, keeps reappearing, and we're not saying that anything is going to happen that day. I don't think that the rapture is going to happen on that day. I don't think that we will know that because the Bible says that, and nobody knows the day or the hour. But I do think that there is something going on with the movies doing all of this predictive programming on that date. So, movies talking about the abyss, the portals, there's such so much of that coming out. And then on September 27th, Legos is releasing their game Dimensions, and there's a portal in that game. And here's a picture of it. But so, they have kids, video games, toys, and there's like so many of them. That's what's coming out. I mean, it's so much predictive programming going on with children right now, and there is adults as well, but it's growing very quickly.
Yeah, they were, I guess, that leftovers program about the 2% of the population are missing, and it's a program about after the rapture.
Hey guys, I'm Tahani. And I'm Michael Michelle.
Okay. I'll put this link in for you. 1 second. Yeah, I'll do that after, okay? Now, what caught my particular attention, of course, is the equation to Cern and computer, and the fact that we're mini computers, right? But that Cern was the first internet, and how they're always working on emulating the true creator. They're always emulating God in some form or another. The actual energetic potential to the creator is somehow through a back door snatched away, like love and Valentine's Day and commerce. You know what I'm saying? Instead of spending the time to get to know the person that you love and having a conversation and making other equations, we have things. So that doesn't profit us in the long run, it profits them. So just backward stuff like that. For instance, the internet being the birthplace of Cern, the backbone, okay? It used to be zeros and ones. There's been a lot of advancements to computers, and it said that the internet was actually made for scientists to be able to keep up with their data and their research, the large amount of students and scholars and researchers and stuff, okay? So that was in the background. There's, what are we all accessing? But, you know, many of us are accessing information. And this information comes from where? From other scholars and stuff, right? So that's in the background, okay? Internet, gnawing at me. Hollywood. How does Hollywood come into play? I keep thinking of Bernie Mac and the clones and Hollywood and the underground cities and stuff. That a lot of the clones and some of the stars, when they whistle blow, they talk about the underground cities they have where clones do all kinds of stuff. You know, people live out whole lives and stuff. Was thinking about how Cali is burning. Was thinking about underground bunkers. Was thinking about the advancement and the technology and underground cities. Was thinking about ancient times and the underground chambers they're still finding and things like that. Now, underground, background, things that we don't know, technology, Hollywood, hiding things, embedding their intention. Was their intention good? With some of the stuff that we find now, we can say that, no, okay? It was about exploitation, right? By, you know, there's in the world of commerce, there's the person producing and the person buying, right? Either you're growing it or you're ingesting it, right? Pimps and hoes kind of thing that we see all over. The degradation of relationship between male and female energies we see all over the internet. Underground as in unconscious. Hollywood. And sex tapes. All that stuff that I was hearing about the underground cities and Bernie Mac and the clones and stuff. I also heard about sex tapes. About how sometimes they blackmail. They say that they blackmail many of the, I'm being ladylike here, many of the stars, right, with sex tapes. And that only ones who get to see those sex tapes are the elite and those of Hollywood, those people in that world, right? Can you imagine always having to be your best for people and puppeteer and get that money, and then that world and that illusion, like we're always watching them. But then there's the dark web. Not anybody can watch us, right? And all this violation when it comes to intel and the gang stalking, targeted individuals, straw man stuff, the fact that in the background, while we were sleeping, the technology is we actually have underground cities and clones of people doing what they want to do, when they want to do it already, and ain't nobody touching them. We have the cocaine cowboys. Who is our government? What is going on? What is really, really going on? Disney World, underground, the embedding, Disney World, Walt. Disney World is making me dizzy, huh? Like a Mickey. Walt, he was a drunk. Mickey, drunk. He was a drunk in a vault. He had underground tunnels and stuff. What was Walt doing down there? What was he doing down there? Underground. Upgrade to TV. A lot of the crazy stuff that we're hearing about with clones and sexual behavior and sex tapes. We got already private internet. But when they tell us that they got something and they're exposing it. It's already done. And since I was a little girl, since I was hearing messages that the aliens are us, that we were in some kind of a time loop, that we were already traveling back and forth through time. But who are you going to talk to? Who's next to me to be able to? That's not a regular conversation. Hey, do you know we're traveling back and forth through time? Yep. It took a while to get here. Some of us do, and I could actually have that conversation. Not yet. There's nobody here yet. You know what I'm saying? But we're getting closer. We can have it here. Here, I've been able to have that conversation, so I'm not just up here. And what that does for comprehension and this crazy freaking world where they want you to feel like you're mad with all the gang stalking behavior, which actually falls under human trafficking. Human trafficking. What we don't know. Who are we? Are we straw men? Do we have a social security number? Are we owned? Now that America is pretty much lost the value to dollar and the world is changing, we have cryptocurrency and there's a struggle for economy right now. What do you think is going on? Who are we? Who's gonna have those social security numbers if we're a bunch of banknotes and the dollar isn't what it is? If they were already treating us as slaves and cashing in on the low while we were sleeping due to technology and doing whatever they wanted, making clones, having cities, killing people, putting fluoride in the water so we stay stupid, saying, trust me, I gotcha. Meanwhile, we got stuff like organ donating and sex trade, drug trade, HMOs, not HMOs, GMOs, which helps to break down the molecular structure of your freaking body. And that sure helps pharmaceuticals and doctors, because you're going to need them when stuff starts falling apart. Like a car or a computer that they purposely make certain parts to fail. You can look that up on the internet, yeah. In your computer, why certain things are only made to last a certain amount of time is so that you go back and you have to either replace that part or buy a new one. And that's part of our economy as being false, is putting a time limit on things so that it's exhausted. Not in the security, right? I remember when I was a little girl, it was like American products you could depend on. You could depend on. You know what I'm saying? Like that Ford car, and I didn't even know Ford was taken over and it was actually owned by, invented, created by a black man. I didn't know that. But I knew that Ford was a very strong car. Anyway. Entertainment. Private entertainment of the elite. Gone wild. That's what I think. I think that we're bored now. I think that we've been able to clone and kill and pillage and do whatever we want. Like those people with a lot of money and they have an addiction and they end up killing themselves. Or, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you just... what we do to ourselves, you know what I'm saying? You just can't stop. It was good, huh? All that power and control, and it was just good. All these secrets. We're so freaking, we're like sheep. Yeah. Yeah. It's good. While we were sleeping, looking, thinking that, you know what I'm saying? Many of us thinking we had the upper hand in something. Been a lot going on. Good day, family. There's been a lot going on. So we got the dark web. Yeah. I ain't never been on it, but, you know, I heard they got a lot of stuff going on. So if that can still exist, and then we have the upgrades to technology, we got this going on where this guy says that the quantum D-Waves computer upgrade, they're actually have been able to channel demons. Remember Bobby Hemmett. Check out Bobby Hemmett where he talks about AWAS. He talks about dark matter energy. We talk about ideas. We talk about ideas being a light code frequency. The ability to comprehend is an array of a frequency. You can attach an array of a frequency to color. Like this green, for instance, 90 degrees. What? A healing frequency that you need to be very careful with, you know what I'm saying? Because it has other connotations to it. Being aware and having the perception of deeper meaning about the embedding has been the thing that has left us wide open for exploitation. Vile exploitation. First of all, there's something on the money with all the glyphs and the occult symbolisms and stuff that naturally makes it an aversive thing. Once there's a certain level of attainment without perception, okay? We have to be aware that there's signals and sigils and stuff like that on the money, right? Symbolism that's penetrating the unconscious mind. Being aware of something is half the battle, right? Because we can step around a hole, we can prepare for it, we can make adjustments. We still need currency, but it's how we're looking at our currency. Currently. It's currently how we're looking at our currency, right? So we have the dark web, the internet. There's been advancements while we were sleeping, and now there's Cern. And this was my side note. I'm doing something else in regards to communication and dance. Some other notes, which I was actually preparing for later, but then this came up. So I hope that you can use that. I think that pretty much that's what I wanted to say about that. Yeah, this is to get an inclination to update, you know, as to what's going on right now. So this is Regina's Rabbit Hole. Much love to you and yours. Thank you for watching. I'm out.